Yeah.
Okay. My thing made a weird sound.
What's going on, moms and dads? Welcome to the latest episode of the Fade You podcast. Here today to preview NFL Week 14. My name is Matthew James, joined by the dads. Joe is here, Mr. 27th place in the Westgate SuperContest. Keep it going, Dad. How's it going?
It's going great, man. I couldn't be happier. I think we're actually 31st. The 27th was before Monday Night Football.
Monday night. Okay.
But we're 5 back of the lead. Pretty much in the money. I think they pay the top 30, so almost in the money here. So we just got to continue. 4-1 past 2 weeks, 8-2 run right now. So we just got to keep it rolling and nothing, no bad juju, no bullshit, no shitty weeks. Just 3-2 is fine right now.
That'll do.
Yeah, Matt and I finished in the money. Like we struggled down the stretch with a bunch of 3-2s. Like we just couldn't get hot to try to win the fucking thing. It was so frustrating.
That was also when they paid top 100. That was before all these in-season content. What did we finish, Kyle? 39th or some shit?
39th, yeah. Got like 7,500 or something.
Any clue what our record was?
No.
I'm sure you need a better record now to finish where we finished. I just feel like the contest is a little sharper, but
and anyway, 1 extra week in the NFL too.
Irregardless, Joe is on Twitter at Joe_knows____. Follow him to get the contest picks. Joe, the one thing I would say now that we're kind of getting down to the last few weeks, don't tweet them out so early, Dad.
Why?
Wait till that shit closes. You never know.
Oh,
some asshole might be listening right now.
Oh,
yes, like a lot of people could have 2 entries and just kind of copy yours.
I mean, I guess, but I have 450 followers on Twitter. I don't think anybody gives a flying fuck. And if they do, they're digging that deep, then whatever, they deserve to win.
Probably more effort to find your picks and follow them than to
flip
5 coins. So, all right. Anyway, follow Joe. Joe's our best hope at cashing in this thing as it stands right now through 13 weeks. Also on the pod today, Kmart just made it. Kmart's_angles on Twitter. How's it going, Dad?
Oh, not bad. Look a little more haggard than usual. Just got back from the gym just in time to have some fun.
Beautiful. Bucket Boy is here with us at Big Nelly Buckets on Twitter. Neil, how are you doing?
What's up, dads? I'm excited. I watched I think about a quarter of football last Sunday.
Perfect.
So
fade Neil.
But your bet should be good this week then.
Yeah, this week the dog shit last week. Thank you, Titans. But so I'm happy. I have a free Sunday coming up. Very excited.
Should be joined by Chris Duke momentarily. Chris is in traffic, so good job planning, Chris. And we'll see his dumbass here in a sec. Anyway, as we look ahead to 2023, looking to grow the pod, looking for more followers. If you're listening, you like our stuff, tell your friends. If you're watching on YouTube or watch this, like it, subscribe. All that helps us. All that's good stuff as we look ahead to another good year for the Fade You team. All right, guys, let's get to week 14. Joe, you're going to hit leadoff again. And you told me before we started recording you're having a tough time with this particular slate. Is that because 3 teams or 6 teams are on a bye, so we have fewer games? Is that because favorites did so well last week and now we're a little nervous about what to do this week? What makes this a difficult slate of games to you?
Yeah, dude, like you said, man, favorites going 10-5 ATS last week really fucking threw a wrench in my thought process here because dogs are doing so well. Like you said before the podcast, they're like 54% on the year. Are we seeing regression back to the mean here? Is it time to fire favorites? Or do we bounce back and just say, hey, fucking fade last week, all the favorites won, now let's go doggies? Because you got to imagine that the public fucking cleaned up last week.
A lot of money line parlays probably. So
teasers,
the square tease everything, parlay everything. Probably did all right. So that being said, where are you looking when you're trying to find a winner in this week 14 card?
Dude, this one was really tough. It was fucking tough. But I think I mentioned it on the recap pod on Sunday. My pick, it's got to be the Titans. I mean, I hate that it's a division favorite, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence is dog shit. ATS, Vrabel and Tannehill off a loss, are like 11-6 ATS or something like that. I read earlier. I just think this is Tennessee's defense after getting their asses beat. They're going to pull their cocks out and shut Jacksonville down. The shittiest team in that division. So other than the Texans, I guess. So Titan cock.
Chris, I want to know what you have to say about Joe's Titans play. You like those sweet spot dogs, as Applebaum calls them, 3.5 or more. You also like division dogs. You also like road division dogs. You also like teams off a blowout loss.
What about both teams off a blowout loss?
That is a good point. But Chris, what do you think of the Jags-Titans game?
Yeah, that one's tough. It went up to 4, right? It was 3.5. It's up to 4 for the contest. I agree. Like Joe's right. I think the Titans typically are dogs when they're off the loss, but I think I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, yeah, the Jags they look like they had hope earlier this year. And
Trevor Lawrence fully healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was, let's be honest, that was obviously, Matt, you were on the bad end of that comeback against the Ravens. Like that was so fluky and
don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Don't bring up Miles from the last 2 weeks. It's going to make me angry.
There's a lot. The problem is, with this contest that we do and with these picks we give, we have to pick and choose. And, that's what Joe and Red have been good at. And obviously we have a lot of road division dogs this week. Some are going to come or some aren't. The Jets, the Browns, the Vikings, the Jags, the Ravens. So, obviously not all of them are going to cover. Joe likes this spot for the Titans, and I could see it, especially if the Jags are kind of mailing it in at 4-8.
Yeah, at some point they got to start thinking about draft spot, right? Maybe they just, stop trying as hard, I guess. They're gonna play hard no matter what. Trevor Lawrence is gonna want to win, but still, I think Vrabel's defense is fucking really good, and they just got absolutely embarrassed last week. So I think that's something we could take advantage of here. If Tennessee played competitive to the Eagles, this line's probably Tennessee minus 6.5 or 7, right? So we're getting a little bit of value, in my opinion, there. So maybe Tennessee can go out and win, 17-7, and just an ugly game at home.
Neil, you've been the biggest kind of Vrabel guy on the pod at various times this season. Do you like the spot for him after playing 2 really good teams in Cincy and Philly to kind of get right here against a weaker Jags team?
Yeah, so I would side with Joe on this one again. So, right, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Tennessee was on, I think, an 8-0 ATS run, and then they go out back-to-back weeks and 0-2 straight up 0-2 ATS. Like Joe said, after getting embarrassed, it goes back to both teams in this matchup got embarrassed. Who's the one that you think is more likely to bounce back and has more on the line? It's Titans. I think this will probably be one of the lower handled games of the weekend. But like Joe said, I can see the defense really having their bounce back game, and it's going to be probably one of those ugly, like Joe said, like an ugly, weird scoregami type games. If something weird's going to happen, but I can't see myself playing Jacksonville. And this one would be Titans or nothing.
The way I handicapped this too was Matt and I had this discussion was whether. I look at this just like the Packers game. Yeah, the Tennessee was on the road and a dog to the Packers, but I think Jacksonville and Green Bay are in that similar area, around 20th best team, maybe a little bit less in the NFL. And I think Tennessee's probably 10, maybe a little bit closer to number 1 than 10. So, they're probably 5, 6-ish, somewhere in there. But I think they can take advantage of that. And 4 points is in a division game a little bit too much but it just makes me nervous. But these are the kind of bets that we got to fire in the contest to get to 63% like we're at.
That's true. Have these teams played yet? Did
No,
they play
not yet.
already?
No,
Really?
It's this one and then week 19, whatever the last week is of the season. So this
That's
will be the
pretty.
first matchup against each other.
That's pretty rare to have a division game where it's the first time you're playing this late in the season. I feel like.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's a narrative that Derek. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. The biggest thing here is just fading Lawrence. 3-10 ATS on the road in his career. It's just a good spot for a favorite, in my opinion, even if it is a division favorite.
I think there's a fantasy people would know this. Derrick Henry against the Jags, I think, has been pretty dominant over the years. Kmart, you got anything on this one before we move on?
I mean, not much more to add, except I texted our group, I don't know, a few hours ago. And I was like, Neil, you're on the Titans this week, right? Because I hated the spot last week. I wanted the Eagles, but he was kind enough to give us the Bengals the week before. So we're trying to, we don't know everything. So we're just hoping we can dodge and dip and dive, on the right weeks. But I feel this is the good spot for the Titans as well. Like you said, 2 straight ATS losses, a lot more on the line than the Jags. And defensively, I think they're going to be able to limit what they can do offensively. Just seems all their guys are coming in and out of the lineup at various times.
Can't argue that. All right. Joe, Titans. Joe, got to keep it going. You and Jared, you guys have been the most successful of anybody sitting here right now this season. Absolutely got to finish strong.
Last season,
Chris Duke. Yeah. Yeah, last season too. Okay. 2 years in a row now. You guys have got it going. That's for sure. Chris Duke, you passed me for the first time in quite some time. 4-1 for you last week, 1-4 for me last week. You are 2 behind Joe at 39 and 26, so you get to hit next, my smelly friend.
Well, it wouldn't be hazmat suit if I didn't go one of the most hazmat suit games. Bengals came through for us last week, and I mentioned Broncos on the pod last week. They both came through. And I'm going to go right back to the well with the fucking Denver Broncos. Let's go. There's a huge system play when you have a team that's won 75% of their games, laying over 7 on the road against a team that's won less than 35% of their games. It's really, really good, and it gets even better in December. Here we are. Month of Santa Claus in December. Fire it. Home dog plus 9.5. Broncos suck ass on offense, but their D is amazing. They only give up 17 points a game. Even if the Chiefs score 24, can the Broncos get to 15 for the dads? Probably not, but fuck it anyways. Let's go. Dirty Broncos.
You just want to send the horse gif again. That's all this is. Chris just loves that fucking Broncos head gif.
And if you do, you gotta fire a little. You gotta touch money line as well, right? That's just the most disgusting bet ever right now.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
I'm gonna place a bet on everyone's bets after the show, and that's a game I looked at and just thought, oh, I can't touch it. I can see. I agree with Chris. 10 is a lot of fucking points. Like that's the side I would tend to go with, but offensively it's like, what if I had to finally give up on them? What have they done ever all season to show that there's any sign of life? And Sutton is probably going to miss again. So if the Chiefs score 24, I think it's an L, because unless their defense is going to score for them, this team hasn't, put up 13 points consistently against, lesser opponents. So, that it's a hazmat suit special. So you got to love it.
The Chiefs gave up 17 to Jacksonville, 17 to Tennessee, 24. Okay, we can't count Buffalo. They're actually D's. 29 to Vegas, 20 to Indy. Indianapolis. The Matt Ryan Indies scored 20 against them. So we'll see if they can.
Oh yeah, that was week 5. That was one of the hottest wins of the year.
Win.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos are even more incompetent than any of those teams on offense. I think it would exclude if you can guarantee right now that Patrick Mahomes throws a pick six, then I could be enticed to fire this bet. But motherfucker,
Joe,
that is
the Broncos. They are the most incompetent.
Yeah.
Like 32nd. They average the lowest points per game in the league, and Russell Wilson's a quarterback.
And they owe him $1 billion over the next fucking whatever.
They're
5
so
years.
fucked.
So disgusting.
Oh my god, they're almost as fucked as the Rams.
Yep.
Actually, they may be more with that contract. They may be more fucked than the Rams, which is truly unbelievable. But yeah, that's hazmat suit right there. That's disgusting. Nobody's gonna be on Denver. Everybody's gonna tease, parlay, do whatever the hell they want with Kansas City. And the other thing, Chris, you didn't even mention, you're gonna get the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes off a loss narrative this week too.
Ugh.
And they're undefeated. Well, they're undefeated. Well, besides last week, but they're against the spread. They're only like 18-19 in those games. So yeah, they're winning, but they're not always covering. So that, again, and once people see how good they are winning, that line keeps inflating. Line should probably be like 6.5, 7. You're getting 9.5. Fuck it.
Russell Wilson 5 yes as a above a TD underdog too. But this ain't Russell Wilson of old. This is
He doesn't have
the ghost of Russell Wilson playing.
It's the fast food version of cooking.
This is almost as bad as Big Ben last year.
This is Pollo Hermanos.
It's so bad.
Do we have any idea what the weather could be? Because we're in December. We're talking about Denver and Mile High. I wonder if there's a chance we could get something fun in this one. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's talk about this. You know, for people who are wanting to be better, how much are we considering weather at this point now that we're into the second weekend of December as part of our handicap?
It's going to be 57 and cloudy. It's a perfect, beautiful day in Denver.
Okay, so that's fine. But I guess just generally speaking, what are we looking for? Are we looking for snow? Are we looking for wind? Are we looking for sub-freezing temperatures? Like, at what point does the weather matter in your handicap, I guess?
Under 20 degrees.
I think the wind is the biggest
20-mile-an-hour wind or more.
I read something earlier about Burrow being really good in the cold. Let's see. Oh, here we go. 50 degrees or less, Burrow's 9-2, 10-1 ATS. 40 degrees or less, 5-0 straight up and ATS. Joe Burrow.
Well, Burrow's overall ATS is like 80%. So I'm sure. I mean, you could break that down into almost anything you want. You could break it down to whether he has one drink the night before or two. He's going to have a good ATS.
He's 16-3 ATS.
If the opposing coach picks his nose before the game starts, I'm sure Burrow's like 90% ATS. So, yeah. I mean, but that is a good point, Joe. I mean, it is worth, at least now that we're in December, we're in the coldest month of the season, at least looking at that in cold places like Denver, like Cleveland, like some of the East Coast cities. Tennessee, maybe not so much, but good.
Buffalo, perhaps, anyone?
Buffalo,
no, they'll just move it if there's fucking snow on the ground. They'll just move it
right.
to Detroit. It's just a blasphemous.
Find me the closest dome.
Green Bay, Chicago. Those are places you want to look at. So, all right. I'm glad Chris didn't take mine because Chris, you and I talked about this one earlier in the week. Did they make this 2.5 for contest? I think they did. Oh, of course they did. So, Chris, I know you probably know what I'm going to say.
The Lions?
You know what? I'm going to let somebody else have the one I was going to talk about.
How do you know how do you know someone else is on it?
We'll see. We'll get to it because I think it's interesting. But I have to just say, after what the Jets-Vikings game did to me last week, after having to watch the Saints on the goal line the week before and watching the Jets on the goal line, I have to just say it. Fuck the Vikings. They're fake. They're lucky. They aren't that good. Fuck them.
Oh, man.
Fuck Kirk Cousins. and I have to do Lions. And I think this is a good one to talk
Wait,
about.
so you pivot from the Steelers to go into steal mine and go with the Lions?
Oh, were you going to do this one?
Yeah, that's
It doesn't matter.
total
No,
opposite.
it's just funny how you're like, I'm gonna save the Steelers, who I'm guessing you were gonna, or maybe actually the Ravens.
I was going to talk about the Ravens, and then I just remembered how mad I was at Minnesota and how much I hate them. And I just was overcome. I just had to do Lions. I mean, the Minnesota is so fucking lucky every single week. And I think this is a good one to talk about because anybody taking the Lions now is getting the worst number. And I think the discussion is should be, does it matter? If you think it's the right side, even though you could have got them at +1 or even -1 a couple of days ago, right? It didn't matter with the Raiders. So, okay, let's talk about just kind of the breakdown for a second. Minnesota's getting lucky. Like something is going their way every single game and they keep winning. They don't always cover though. Their ATS is just okay. They really benefited from the Jets not being able to get in the end zone last week. Detroit, believe it or not, is like number 2 in the NFL at converting red zone trips into touchdowns. I think the only team that's better is Philly. So Detroit gets down there, they get it in. I mean, everybody's liking the Lions, and I think it's deserved. I think they've really, really gotten better, especially since they fired the D coordinator a few weeks ago. Their D's definitely tightened up a little bit. And, I mean, fuck. The offense is rolling. I mean, St. Brown is awesome. The running game is awesome. Goof.
DJ
I don't know if
Chark
Goof's
is back.
I don't know if Goof's awesome, but he's certainly competent. And
He's
the
got
Lions,
a bigger chip on his shoulder than Rodgers.
I don't think you're wrong. That's
Goof has
as
been
crazy
playing
as
great. Goof
crazy,
has been good.
especially at home. I mean, Goof's home away splits are pretty drastic. They get them at home. Minnesota. God damn it, Minnesota. Fucking lose. That's all I got to say.
Fuck, man. Yeah. And then Minnesota's defense isn't that good. I mean, is this another game where Detroit can score like 24, 28 points?
As long as the Lions cannot kick 5 fucking field goals, they should be fine.
That is
or
true.
fumble on the goal line like did against the Cowboys. How's that red zone trip,
That was on the road. I would say that, and that's against a much better D as well. So this feels like the Lions have kind of got their shit together, which is crazy to say. I mean, they've been incompetent for most of our lives, and I think they got it.
2 wins away from that win total, baby. It's a lot.
I love it. You love to see it. And they're in just such a great spot going forward with having the Rams pick, and it's going to be like 2nd or 3rd overall. It's fucking. I just laugh my ass off every time I think about that. Kyle, did you say you were going to talk about this one? I mean, you were on the Jets last week with me.
Yeah, it's like the same exact things you said. You know, just Vikings are 10-2. They're really, in my opinion, like 7-5. They just keep squeaking out these games. Luck is on their side, like luck is not on Neil on our sides for our contest picks. So I mean, there's a reason why this line is what it is. Like just a few people I've seen on Twitter, you know, they just can't understand. You know, they're like, oh, all you sharps, you're going to lose, you know, betting against the Vikings again. And it's like, yeah, we'll see. I don't consider myself a sharp, but, you know, obviously that's the side they're on. But yeah, offensively, you know, their efficiency is off the hook right now. You know, they have Jamal Williams, who is essentially their starter now with
leads the NFL in touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he's got 14, which is more than he has in his entire career combined before this season. Then you got Swift, you know, who's back healthy, so he's getting more of his timeshare back. Chark, who can take it off the top with that 4.3 speed. So it's just crazy having Chark and then a possession receiver like St. Brown, because he's not fast.
So good.
Like he's not much faster than I was, and I was slow as fuck. So it's just amazing, this offense and all the pieces they have. And defensively, they've come together. Like, that's the thing. The first 4 weeks were like, yeah, they can score, but they can't defend. Now they actually can get some stops. And, you know, they're going to need a couple against the Vikings offense because they obviously still have Jefferson and Cook. But, you know, I think they're going to be able to to have a barn burner with them.
Anybody else got anything to add? I mean, this is one that, people are going to look at the line and say, wait a minute, how are the Lions favored over the 10-2 Vikings, right?
So I was just gonna say I'm gonna step in for Chris because that was the exact conversation that was in our team's group chat, which is, let me find it. I think
I said it was non-negotiable. Lions are in.
Someone just asked. We didn't even put it right. We said I like Lions. Kyle like Lions, and the response from one of our team is, how is Minnesota catching points? And the response was exactly. And Kyle said it's Lions is non-negotiable this week. So Kmart controls. It doesn't matter, right? Kmart controls the entry. He puts in the picks. So fuck it, it's in. And I'm totally on board with it. Also, this line is as disgusting from a record standpoint as you're gonna get, and people just have this 10-2 going in. Hey, this is Lions. It's all going to come crashing at some point. I think you fade Minnesota every single week. This is like red hitting at a roulette table for like 10 times in a row. You walk up to it, you fire your
double zero
black until it goes right until it goes. So go Lions.
Sitting in a tie. We better take the points, boys. Just like the Giants last week. No, Neil, the way you say that though makes me sound like I don't listen to you guys and I just put in whatever 5 I think.
No, you don't. I'm just saying this was one that it didn't matter. This was non-negotiable.
No, for sure. It's just like, guys, this is what I want. Like, we have to have this in there. But yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they get spanked and everyone's like, see, Lions suck.
And I will say the response from our guy when we said it was, just like Commies Texans, where we all love the Texans back, a few weeks ago. And it's,
and again, you take away that opening pick six by Mills, they cover.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Joe had to run, but we're going to finish it off. So Kmart, I know I maybe stole yours, but what else you got?
Let Neil go. I got to look at my sheet.
Okay. All right, Neil, what do you got?
So again, I preface by saying I did not watch any football, and this game wasn't necessarily on my radar or something that I was going to bet until I go back and I look at box scores. I am starting to really love the Bengals in this spot. I don't understand the fact this Cleveland game was as misleading a final. Like I just looked at right at first when I looked at scores on Sunday at the end of the day, it was like, oh, Cleveland's got this in the bag. I guess, Watson, must have been serviceable. No, it's fucking terrible. This whole thing, what a mess this game was. Like, I can't imagine being like having Texan we had Texans last week and how upset I'd be at this game. And again, we sort of talked a little bit about some of the things. Joe Burrow, ATS, all the narratives around this Cleveland team right now. They're clicking, they're rolling, they're home still. I get that they're off a big win. That's why it was initially a stay away. But you've got a division team coming in. And I think like for Cleveland, right, with this whole Lamar injury, you've got a real shot now. We don't know how long. I know we're going to talk about the Steelers game, Matt, but we don't know how long Lamar's going to be out for. There's a path that Cleveland wins the division now. They've got to keep it rolling. And this, I don't know how you see anything positive right now, from Watson in this and how they're going to move the ball since he played really well against the best offense, second best offense in the league. Defensively, the defensive has been really good all season long. Like I think for a while, it's going to be tough for Watson to go play on the road. Let alone just try to play football for a while. I think he's got some game speed to make up for. So I have no problem fading him for the next couple of weeks until he gets to see his football legs under him. But I don't know how you saw anything impressive from that. So I'll take Kyle's Bengals.
Chris, I know you probably have some thoughts on this because you and I talked about Browns the other day.
Burrow's 0-4 against them lifetime.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Love it.
Beat the Browns, huh? Even when it was Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I lean Browns. Obviously, it's a road.
No, you would. The division dog, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, they look like absolute shit. I mean, it would have been nice for them to win by 1 or even lose to the Texans, and this game would probably be 7.5 or 8. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, did he get his kinks out this week? I don't know, because Bengals defense is really fucking good. Look what they did, made Travis Kelce fumble and got stops. And
hey, Chris, he can't get his kinks out because he's not allowed to get a massage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's all backed
get
up.
His cock out. I mean, what? But yeah, Matt. I mean, just like Matt always likes to point out, put him in a teaser, put him in a fucking parlay. I mean, you could tease it down to a pick 'em, right? Or a +0.5 or something, and that just is like, how are the Bengals possibly going to lose to the Browns, right? Well, they got their ass kicked on Monday night on Halloween before, so I don't know if this will make it. I think Riley and I both did text each other Browns on our initial plays, so we'll see. Not my top 3 or 4 favorite, but man, it sure meets the stink card. I'll tell you that. It is pretty.
But Chris, you just said if the Browns had lost this by a point or this was a closer game, this should have been 7-7. You thought like 7.5. They should have this game. Their game against the Texans should have been much closer to like a pick 'em. Or if you could just, the Texans should have won. I mean, again, the Texans, but for all intents and purposes, right? This was not a 13-point game. This line should be right. I think since he should be a touchdown favorite, and you only have to lay
right,
laying 6.
Right, and
that was kind of my thought. Right.
That's where you're looking at it as a value play. Like you're getting a point or 2 of value, and if you can get under that. Where I'm looking at it as if this is if they have so much respect for the Bengals and so much disrespect for the Browns, why are the books not moving it off of 6? Why is it not 6.5 in the contest or 7 when I'm looking at 70-80% of the tickets on Bengals? Why has the line not moved? That just seems a little weird to me. I
think it did. I think it did move. I think it was the opener this week. I mean, you're right. It's one-way action. The look ahead was 3.5. The opener on Sunday was 4. And now we're all the way at 6 by Wednesday. So to your point, Chris, I don't know if they're going to move it off 6 at this point. But, I mean, it's been just one way on Cincy. Nobody's given the Browns, because everybody's seeing what Neil saw, and that score was really misleading last week. And so I think people are just assuming the Browns are really not good, and the line moved accordingly.
Their offensive line is kind of fucked too.
It's tough because it's like, okay, is this? I think it's impossible to know how long it's going to take for the rust to wear off. Like, could this be another Russell Wilson situation where the dude just isn't going to be good this year? I don't know if it's going to get to that level, but I mean, it's kind of impossible to know. All right, is it going to look like
shit in a preseason game? And I know it's the preseason, but still, it's not the same talent.
Very hard to know. That's a tough one.
And that's one to me. It's until you find out, until he shows something, I have no problem fading him until he's able to show it. Because again, Russell Wilson, we're sure it's going to show up one of these days, right? Mm-hmm. We're in week 15 and it hasn't yet. So and I could see it. I think what was it? Like 700 days in between NFL snaps or something like that. I don't see how you can just throw yourself. It does all the practice, preseason, whatever, everything in the world. And you have the most cupcakey opener game you could possibly have playing the Texans. That's like stepping. I mean, you might as well be stepping in the third quarter of a preseason game and playing a Texans defense. And you look that bad. I mean, you look that bad. Until you're able, if I die on it, that's fine. But until he shows that he's productive, I'll fade it. And this is just, I'll go back. It's Burrow's looking good since he's rolling. I'll take him.
I would be curious to know. We talked about Burrow's stellar ATS record. How is it? How many times have they been this big a favorite? -6. Because I feel like part of the ATS record is because they were so underestimated last year throughout the whole way.
And they were underrated.
And even this year, they get off to the slow start. And so I wonder how many times they've been a 6-point.
This is definitely the highest spread I can recall them being in a long time.
Besides against the Falcons, was it 7.5 against the Falcons?
Okay. Yeah.
And Panthers too.
And
they laid
but
7.
Other than that, the one against Titans was 1.5. Even one against the Steelers was only 3.5, 4.
They were laying 6.5 at the Jets earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
Steamrolled them.
And
they did. That was after they had started 0-2. I remember.
0-2. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Let's wrap this up in a couple minutes. Kmart, let's throw it to you for something.
Yes, I mean, there's kind of two I'm mulling over: Chargers or Niners, kind of for similar reasons. But let's just go with the homer pick. Niners -3.5. Brock Purdy, he's pretty. It's mainly defense. The defense is healthy. Bucks, shitty offensive line. I don't personally love the -3.5 because again, it's a rookie quarterback. If he makes 2 mistakes, I think he can have 1 mistake as long as it's not a pick 6. They're going to win this game comfortably. I think they're going to still get enough done. But the Bucks still have a solid defense. That's why it's like you can have 1 mistake, but you can't just solely rely, on the Niners defense. But I think because of the Jimmy G news, the line's gone down a little bit. I think a lot of the public is going to jump on the Bucks. Tom Brady, what is it, 3-1 in his last 4? He's heating up. He's got them back in the playoff hunt. Winning the division, and it just the Bucks seem like a square dog to me. I don't love the play. I love Lions more. And, Chargers are kind of there too. They're getting healthy, just giving out 2 here. They're getting healthy. I think a lot of people are going to jump on the Dolphins getting just absolutely bent over last week. But it's a silent kind of number because you have, it was a 1 possession game. Niners get the stop, get a field goal, pick 6 or fumble recovery 6. But I think what people neglect to kind of focus on is there's no Jalen Waddle for half the game. Like when the Niners defense only had the guard Hill, it makes it a lot easier. So I don't know exactly what Waddle's issue is. I know it's something with his leg. I don't know if he's limited or if he's going to play. But those are 2 plays I'm looking at with the Lions. Going into this week as well.
The Niners one is really interesting because people are going to look at the line and say, "Wait a sec, Brock Purdy is -3.5 against Tom Brady."
Right.
And I guess the one worry I would have is a good defensive coach like Bowles against a 7th-round rookie QB.
Well, I'm saying he can have 1 mistake.
Yeah.
He's got to play clean. And he's in the best spot. And it's not because of his playmakers. It is because of his coach and where he plays. Like, to get it out that quick, but then to also have guys like Ayuk over the middle, Samuel, of course, and McCaffrey. Like, if he's able to get rid of that ball in 2.5 seconds, he's going to succeed. He struggled on the blitz, so Shanahan's going to have his plays ready for him. He's going to want to get it out hot because what do the Bucks like to do? So it's all going to be on the game plan, and I'm definitely going to side with Shanahan on that one, especially with one of the best defenses we've seen since, I don't know, the 84 Bears. When healthy.
Yeah.
When healthy.
It'll be a good test because everything's going to be short. If you don't have to defend deep, that certainly makes it easy. Yeah.
I would just throw in, and I'm not the resident homer for the Niners, and I could really care less, but I do think that teams tell you a lot by the moves that they make. And I think the fact that you have like the narrative, right, Mr. Irrelevant, they kept him on from the entire season, right? He was always there. They don't go out and make a claim for Baker. Why? I think they think that they have something, that they have a capable backup long-term in Purdy.
Didn't he play 5 years at Iowa?
Was it just
I
4?
I feel
Get the
no, I
fifth?
think it was fine because he had that weird COVID year. They all kind of got an
Right,
extra.
yeah.
They all kind of got an extra,
Iowa
right? But I mean,
State.
for Iowa State, yeah. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, that doesn't to me. That doesn't matter. The teams tell you what they think, and you had Mr. Irrelevant. They owed this guy nothing to keep him around, but they chose to at the beginning of the season. They kept him on. He's been there since the beginning. I think they don't put in a play for Baker, right? Where it seemed like a slam dunk that was going to happen, given what
Yeah,
it
but
was.
why would you want to even go after Baker? Like, he's shown he can't pick up an offense. Like, what's he going to do? Maybe take over the reins in the playoffs? Like,
Again,
at that point, you just let Purdy run.
You're making I think you're kind of making my point is that they think that they're in a better position with Purdy than they would be with Baker. And I think it just shows what the team is. And it's not, and I know for Baker, like it goes more than just with Baker, though, it's more than just on the field. Like no one's ever said that they like Baker as a teammate either. So I think there's a lot that you could fuck up in the locker room, but it's like, I think the team's just telling you something that they're comfortable enough with where Purdy is. They've been comfortable with him since the beginning, it seems to me, by having him there. I think they're telling you that they feel that they're fine, that they think they still can go out and win. And I am with Kyle, like, 3.5 for the contest, that sucks. But I think 3.5 for a better, you're like, this is like one of those super disgusting because everyone just thought, oh, look, even if Tampa Bay gets down 13 with 6 minutes left, Tom Brady can still come back. I'll take Tom Brady plus 3. That's the narrative, right? I'll take Tom Brady plus 3.5. This is disgusting enough to say take the Niners and lay 3.5 in this spot.
Running a little long, so we'll kind of go rapid fire on a couple more. The one I was going to talk about a little bit earlier was the Steelers-Ravens. I mean, you've got a line move here due to the backup quarterback. Pittsburgh's, won a couple games in a row. What have the Ravens really been doing on offense with Lamar Jackson lately? Not a whole lot. So I don't know if this is much of a drop off. I think
Huntley's shown he can come in and fill the void.
He's played before. Yeah, I totally agree. So I think the Ravens are an interesting division dog after a couple of performances where they haven't looked good at all.
Steelers over 7.5 wins isn't dead. It's not.
Oh
dead.
Man,
it's not dead.
Kenny and the Steelers. A couple other ones. Chris, can I interest you in Texans plus 16.5?
Yeah, I think you can. In-state rival. I think they might be a little scrappy here. We'll see. We say it all the time. We don't like to lay that many points with the Cowboys. Obviously, they've done what Cowboys do and let the Giants come in the back door, and then they do what they do and absolutely demolished the Colts in the fourth quarter to cover the large spread last week. So you never know. But yeah, I was leaning. I'm surprised. Maybe it's a stay away now. Kyle might have talked me off my Bucks hill, but I was telling my friend, I hope the fucking
Damn,
Bucks.
if I talked you off the Bucks, I must have made some good points.
Well, it's because they only scored. I wanted them to only score 3 points. Then they do that stupid fucking comeback. And I'm like, damn it, now they won. Even though they didn't cover, right? Bucks bettors are still dead. And I would just want it to get inflated. Purdy's a 7th rounder. He goes from I know they were a 4-point favorite, but he had a 10-7 lead or 7. I don't know what happened. But anyways, the defense had a fumble 6. I kind of lean Bucks here. It's disgusting, but I don't know. I do lean Texans too. Matt, what about you? Is there any way in hell your group gets it in?
No.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, I think I sent in our thread. Neil put that in there, and I'm just like, they're unplayable. Like, I just can't. They're unplayable.
Exactly, Dad.
Immediately play it.
I mean, it was essentially a tie game going in the fourth quarter in Indianapolis. Lost by what, 100, 53-19 or some shit. Like that's crazy. We actually think the Texans are any better, and that couldn't happen to them in the final 10 minutes. Like I just can't.
Some people are thinking that McCarthy was running it up on Saturday to make a point about coaches and working your way up, and this was more of like a fuck you to Irsay and Saturday, and McCarthy was doing a solid for the hardworking coaches in the league who have paid their dues. I don't know. Who knows if that's true, but they were throwing deep on them up 30 or whatever. So last thing on the Bucks, and then we'll call it a show. Anybody seen Tom Brady's new girlfriend? Anybody else see that?
Oh yeah.
No,
I've known her before Tom Brady. Well, known of her.
Beautiful.
Veronica.
Deese. Check it out.
Like half his age too.
He's Leonardo, apparently.
The Jeter DiCaprio playbook over there for old Tom. So we'll call him the GOAT for nothing. All right, guys, we'll be back on Sunday night or Monday or sometime to conclude this week and provide a recap. And then we do have a very special guest, one of our absolute favorites, who's going to join us on next week's preview show. So look out for that next Wednesday. In the meantime, Chris, just remind everybody what happens sometimes when you bet poop.
Exactly what Kmart just said. You might bet on a double-digit dog, and they might get blown out 33-0 in the fourth quarter. Thanks, Matt Ryan.